In this video, I want to show you step by step how to create a lead generation machine using Elementor and Fluent CRM. Let me show you how this whole process is going to work. So over here, we have our main landing page. So your visitor comes here, clicks this to get their freebie. So I'm going to add my email address here. Next, I'm going to click on download to download my freebie. So when I click that, this is going to now redirect to my thank you page. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and download my freebie. And you can see it's just downloaded here. It doesn't end there because remember, I said this is a lead generation machine. So let's see what is happening behind the scenes. So when I come over here now to my dashboard, you're going to notice now that when I click on Fluent CRM dashboard, we are now going to see our leads. So first of all, I can see here that I have a lead right here. But if you don't believe that that was me adding that email address, let's go ahead and see the contacts. So if I come over here to all contacts, you can see this is my email address that I've just entered. So this is how you create a lead generation machine using Elementor and Fluent CRM. In this tutorial, I show you step by step. If you want to create your own leads, this is the system that you can set up on your own website. Or if you're a freelance designer, definitely this will benefit all your customers. All the tools that I use in this tutorial are all linked in the video description below. So the first thing we're going to need is the software that captures all these leads on our website. So let's head over here to our plugins and click on Add New. We're going to search for Fluent CRM, and here it is. Click on Install Now. So this one here is the free version, but the one which has more features is the paid version. I will leave a link to that in the video description below. It has a 10% discount. So let's go ahead now and activate this. Great, so I've activated it. Now I might as well set up the paid version because that's the one that we're going to be using. I've already gone ahead and downloaded it here. So I'm going to click on Add New, Upload Plugin, and then I'm just going to drag and drop it here. This is the Fluent CRM Pro. Click Install Now, and then activate the plugin. So this is where you get the Fluent CRM. And if we go over here to get Fluent CRM, as I mentioned, you get 10% off if you use my link in the video description below. All right, so now that we've installed Fluent CRM, the next step now is to just set it up. So I'm going to come over here to Fluent CRM, click on Dashboard. So now this is giving us this wizard. So let's click on Let's Go. So here we just need to add our basic information. You can do it later by skipping this, but I just prefer just doing it now. So over here, if you have a logo, you can just upload your logo here. Now let's click on Next. So here we need to create our list. So I'm going to give this list a name. So this one here is going to be our subscribers. I'm going to go Next. Now this part here is very important. We definitely need to create a tag before we even set up the whole process because this is how we're going to be able to manage all our subscribers. Okay, so let's give this a tag. So I'm going to say downloaded ebook. But of course you can name this whatever you want. You can even call this subscribers if you wanted to. But because we are giving away a freebie through the download system, we just name this download ebook. I'm going to click on Next. And now pretty much it's complete. So it's saying here, install Fluent Forms. I think we might as well go ahead and do that because that's the form we're also going to need later on. So now I'm going to click on install, complete installation. And then I'm just going to say, count me in. So right now we don't need to import any contacts. So I'm just going to go back to the CRM dashboard. So the next step now is to create our form. So let's head over to Fluent Forms. This was installed during this process that we just did. So I'm going to come over here to all forms and we can see here that we have this subscription and this demo. So we need to create a basic subscription form. So I'm going to use this one right here. So I'm just going to say edit and just see what it looks like. So all we have is email address and the button. So we can just say on the button here, download instead of subscribe. So that's all I need to do. I'm going to click on save. And let's keep in mind that this is called subscription form because we're going to need this later on in the stages. All right, so my form is in place. My software is in place. The next step now is to create the pop-up that we're going to need for this. So let's head over now to Elementor, templates, and then click on pop-ups. And then I'm going to click on Add New, create template. So the one I'm going to go with is this one right here. I'm going to click on Insert. So all I have to do now is to go in and change this information to suit my content. Now over here, we have this email opt-in, but this is not the one that we want. So I am going to add my own form. So I'm going to right click here and delete it. And then I'm going to come over here and search for my form. So I'm going to search for forms. So it's going to be under Fluent Forms because remember we installed Fluent Forms and we have that form called subscribers. So I'm going to drag and drop it here like that. And now I'm going to search for it. And it's this one here, subscription form 2. And there we go. It's just that. Now, the one thing I like about this is I can also go in and customize this. But I want to keep things very, very simple here. I'm going to come over here to the style. So this is where you can go in and change how the button looks. You can also change the fonts used over here. So let me go straight now to the button. So over here, I don't need to add much. All I have to do now is to come over to this section here and upload my image. So I'm going to come over here to style. And this is the background image. I'm going to click on it. And I have my own. So I'm going to select it like that. And then click on insert. So now that's my image. Next, I am going to hit publish. So now let's create our landing page. So I'm going to come over here and exit. So let's start by adding a brand new page. So I'm going to click on add new. We're going to give this page a name. So I'm just going to call it ebook or free ebook. And then I'm going to click on edit with Elementor. So on this page, I don't want to distract anyone that comes to this page. So I want to make sure that it doesn't have a header and footer. So to do that, I'm going to come over here on this little gear icon and make sure I select page layout. So I'm going to go with Elementor Canvas because it gets rid of the header and the footer. So all I have now is a blank page to work on. Next, I am going to now click on this plus button and we are going to go with this single column here. Next, I'm going to come over here in the middle because I want to add a background image in here. But before I do that, let me adjust my line height. I want this design to fill up the whole page. So I'm going to come over here to VH and enter 100 for the viewport. Next, I want to make sure that this content that I add in the middle here is centered. So I'm going to click here on center. So great. All I have to do now is to come to style and then I'm going to go to my background and click here to add my background image. And the image I'm going to go with is this one right here. So I'm going to say insert media. So now my image is now in the background of this main hero area. The next step now is just to make sure that this is positioned correctly. So I'm going to come over here to size first of all and make sure that this is contained in this actual section. And then over here on repeat, I want to make sure it's set to no repeat. And for the position, I think this is fine. I'm going to leave it as default. So now that I have this all done, the next step now is to add an overlay because this image here is a bit too bright and it's going to distract my text as I add it onto the background. So now I'm going to go to background type, click here on classic, and then I'm going to click here over the color and just make sure I add black. So what I can do now is I can dim this image here so that my text stands out. So I can increase here or decrease the opacity. So I want to go as low as maybe 0.8. We may come back to adjust this if our text is not readable. All right, so I'm happy with that. Now let's continue on. Let's start adding all our content. So I'm going to start here with my title. So I'm going to drag and drop it here. Come back over here. I'm going to add my description text, drag and drop it here. And then finally, I'm going to need my button. So I'm going to come over here, drag and drop it as well. So these are the three elements that I need for my main landing page. So this is the lead generation page. Now let's go in and customize all this text. So let's start here with this main heading. So I'm going to click here. And first of all, I need to center it. I'm going to add my title here. And then over here on the style, we need to change the color. So I'm going to click here on this color palette, make sure this is set to white. And I want this really bold. So I'm going to come over here now to typography, change this to Poppins first of all. That's my favorite font. I'm going to select that. And over here on the weight, let's make this extra bold. Okay, great. So that's looking okay. I want to also adjust the size here. So let's go with 48. Now let's move on to the description text. So to do that, I'm going to click here and let's first of all come over here to style, center it, make sure this is set to white. because we want it to be easier to read. And then on the typography here, we're going to set this to Poppins as well. I'm going to select that. I'm going to increase the size. So let's first of all work on the button here. So I'm going to click on this little icon to go to the button. And we are going to now center it by clicking here. So I'm going to come over here and click on dynamic tags, scroll all the way down here, click on pop-ups, and then you want to click on this wrench, and we want to now look for our pop-up. So it's called Elementor something, and here it is. So this is the one that we've just created. So now when I click on the button, it's going to show the pop-up. I'll show you this in a moment, and I think we are good to go. So we can further customize this by coming to the hover and adding our text hover or even our button hover state, but that's not important right now. Okay, so we are almost there. Let's test and see if this is working. So I'm going to click here on this button. And there we go. We have our pop-up. So far, so good. So we don't want to add in an email yet because we want to add a redirect, which is a thank you page. So let's go ahead and create that thank you page. So I'm going to test and see if this is going to close out. And sure enough, this is working fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a brand new page, and we are going to call this page thank you. So I'm going to come over here and name this page. And then I'm going to edit this with Elementor. So here I'm going to add an icon box. So I'm going to search for it here and drag and drop it. So now let's label all this. So this one here is going to be a check mark just to show that everything has worked. So here it is. I'm going to select it, insert. Now let's head over and customize the text. So I'm going to come over here. Let's change this color to maybe this gray. And then I'm just going to say download ebook below. So at this point, we can go in and customize our text to make it match, our landing page, but we're not going to waste too much time with that. I'm going to come back over here and add a button. I'm going to drag and drop it just below that. Make sure it's centered. So what's important now is you want to go to your media library where you've saved your zip file of the ebook. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here and go to my media library. So I prepared this ahead of time. So you can see here, this is just a zip file. So I'm going to click on it and then grab this URL here like that. So now it's copied. I'm going to come back over here and make sure that this is added to the link here on the button. So when I click on that, it's just going to download it. Okay, great. So all I have to do now is to customize the button here and the text. So I'm going to say download here like that. And then I can just go ahead and customize. If I need to change the color of the button here, I can do it by just coming here to the background. And let's say I go with that. Border radius, if we wanted to do that, change this to maybe 2. So all I have to do now is to come to the main section and just make sure that this fills up the whole page. So I'm going to come over here to my VH and set this to 100. And then I'm going to center this. And then finally, I don't need a header and a footer on this page. So I'm going to come over here to my settings. And then I'm going to go to my page layout here and set this to canvas and then publish. Right, so let's take a quick look at our page by clicking on this eye icon. It's going to open up in a new tab. And sure enough, this is our thank you page. Very nice, clean, simple. So if I click here, this should download my ebook like that. So everything is working. So this is really, really good news. So what we need to do now is to go back to the forms and connect it to the thank you page as the redirect. So how do we do that? I'm just going to get rid of this part of the URL here. So I'm left with just the thank you because this is what we need to link to like that. I'm going to come back over here to WordPress and go to my forms. I'm going to go to all forms. Remember, it's the subscription. So I'm going to come over here, click on edit settings, and then I am going to go to my settings and integrations. This is the default message that you get. So what I want to do now is for when someone fills in the form, I want them to go to the thank you page. So this is where you can say, okay, you know what? We're going to go to a custom URL and I'm going to paste it right here, just like that. Or you can just search for the page over here since this is now on our system. So if you click on this drop down, here's our thank you page. It's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so now that I've added that, there's also one step that we need to do, and that is we need to now go to, in fact, let's save first. So now we need to go to our marketing and CRM integrations, because this is where we need to make sure that when someone adds in their email address, they also add it to the CRM so we can automate our information later. All right, so let's go ahead and add a new integration. Here's Fluent CRM. So now remember, we created a list very early on, and this is where this is working now. So I'm going to click here on this drop down. My list is called subscribers. I'm going to select it here, and I need to map my field. So I'm going to click on this drop down. So email address here needs to be mapped to email, which is very, very important. Finally, I need to come over here on my contact tag. So whoever signs up for this is going to have a tag. And remember, we called it downloaded ebook. So I'm going to go ahead and select it here, scroll all the way down here and save feed. So now we have our form connected with our CRM. Let's test this and see if this is going to work now. So over here, we have our main landing page. So your visitor comes here, clicks this to get their freebie. So I'm going to add my email address here. Next, I'm going to click on download to download my freebie. So when I click that, this is going to now redirect to my thank you page. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and download my freebie. And you can see it's just downloaded here. It doesn't end there, because remember, I said this is a lead generation machine. So let's see what is happening behind the scenes. So when I come over here now to my dashboard, you're going to notice now that when I click on Fluent CRM dashboard, we are now going to see our leads. So first of all, I can see here that I have a lead right here. But if you don't believe that that was me adding that email address, let's go ahead and see the contacts. So if I come over here to all contacts, you can see this is my email address that I've just entered. So this is how you create a lead generation machine using Elementor and Fluent CRM.